Bubba Benny and the Bears.
You are LockOn Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the LockOn Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, what's good, everybody? Matt Derry with you on a Monday edition of LockOn Lions right here on the LockOn Podcast Network, your team every day. Today is Martin Luther King Day on a Monday, January 20th, and a Tuesday, January 21st. Thanks for making us your first listen, checking us out wherever you get your podcasts. Shout out to our everydayers that are out there that watch and listen to the podcast daily. And many Lions fans are still pissed. They're still sad. They're still upset. They still don't know how to deal. And this whole shebang took place Saturday night at Ford Field, where the Lions season came to an end as the Commanders beat them in the divisional round 45-31. Those of you watching and subscribing on our LockOn Lions YouTube channel, we have some minor glitching going on tonight, so bear with us on the video side. I needed to get this pod in tonight. We got big news. Ben Johnson is leaving. Yes, the Lions offensive coordinator, the man behind so much success for this team offensively the last handful of years, is going to be the next head coach of the Chicago Bears. I mean, I get it. Like what Adam Schefter said the other day about, hey, maybe he shouldn't go to Vegas because you're going to be in the same division with Bo Nix and Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert and Harbaugh and Andy Reid and Sean Payton. But to take the Bears job, I texted somebody in the NFL today and I said, oh my gosh, I can't believe he's going to Chicago. And they texted me back. This is somebody that works in the league. And they said the Bears are a mess. But Ben Johnson is going to Chicago. We will dive into that. We'll get into some more of Sad Monday and how you should be feeling. And if you rewatched the game like I did, some takeaways that you got from Saturday night that maybe we didn't mention on our Saturday night podcast after the game. PFF grades are out, of course. We'll give you the top 5 and bottom 5 Detroit Lions on offense and defense from Saturday night's debacle. And we have a call of the day as well from one of our listeners. You want to be the call of the day? Check out our SpeakPipe voicemail system at speakpipe.com/dairy podcast page. That's speakpipe.com/dairy podcast page. A lot to get into. Thanks again to everybody. And it was a really good season. It was not a great season, but it was a really good season. And I know everybody's disappointed and everything else, and 15 wins and not getting even to the NFC Championship game. It sucks. It does. But this team was very resilient this year. This team lost a lot of players, especially on defense, and it caught up to them against Jaden Daniels, who was special, and Terry McLaurin and all those Commanders. It caught up to them the other night. They got whooped. And they stuck around. They were in it. They were down 14. They were down this and that. Up 7-3 with a chance to go for more inside the 30 of the Commanders, the Jared Goff 3rd and 1, which we'll get into, all these things. But the bottom line is the Commanders are moving on. And we're sitting here in Detroit going, what the heck's going on? How the heck can this happen? And this is no surprise because Dan Campbell had a press conference this morning and said he expects Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn to both get head coaching jobs. He's happy for both of them. He's rooting for both of them. But he was anticipating that there is no way that Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn would be back. And then within hours this afternoon, one of the reasons why I'm recording a little bit later than usual tonight is that according to reports, it's not a done deal yet because the Bears haven't announced it, but the Chicago Bears are hiring Ben Johnson to be their head coach. He is going to work with Caleb Williams. He is going to stay in the NFC North. And look, you guys know how I feel about the Bears. I've been talking about the Bears on this show for years. I think the Bears are a joke. Ask Mark Trestman how it's going to go. Ask Matt Nagy how it will go. Ask Matt Eberflus how it will go. Ask John Fox how it will go. The list goes on and on. The Bears hang banners for off seasons. Hey, we won the offseason last year. We got Caleb. We got DJ Moore. We got Keenan Allen. We're ready. And what did they do this year? They crapped the bed. They were horrible. What, they won 4 games, 5 games? They suck. They suck every year. And then after the season, you've got their president, Kevin Warren, who's never done anything in football of meaning with personnel. Kevin Warren has bounced around from place to place for a reason. He's talking about, hey, maybe I'll dip my toe into some football here. Kevin Warren's a stadium builder. Kevin Warren helped the Big Ten expand. He doesn't know anything about running a football organization. Ryan Poles, the GM's like, wait a minute. Am I making draft picks? Am I hiring the coach? Or is it you, Kev? That's a mess there. The ownership there has always been bad. Outside of Lovie Smith, and Mike Ditka, tell me who's won with the Bears. They're a laughingstock. But I guess Ben Johnson looks up and says, you know what? I'm not going to the AFC West and dealing with what I have to deal with Denver, Kansas City, and the Chargers. I have no quarterback out there. I can move my family close from Detroit to Chicago, and I can be the one to save the franchise. Because if Ben Johnson fails, he'll just go on that list with everybody else. So Ben Johnson to the Bears. He's going to get to work with Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams, jury's still out for me. I saw some positives this year. He's a rookie. It takes time. Ask the Colts how long it's been taking with Anthony Richardson. It took Michael Penix a while to get on the field with the Falcons. Bo Nix really had a good year this year, but he had his ups and downs. All right? It's going to take time. Ben Johnson is an incredible offensive coordinator. He's awesome. All right? Did he have his best day Saturday night against the Commanders? No, he did not. That Jamison Williams reverse pass interception down 10 still sticks in my craw. I hated that call. The 3rd and 1 with empty backfield. And I get Dan Campbell saying today, hey, that play, if Amon-Ra doesn't trip, it's a first down. We would have gone for it on 4th and 1 had Goff not fumbled. That was the right call. I still hate empty backfields. I have nightmares about empty backfield on 4th down in San Francisco last year. At least show Jahmyr Gibbs. At least show David Montgomery. But how can you sit here and argue against Ben Johnson will go down as one of the greatest, if not the greatest offensive coordinator in Lions history? He's a genius. Do I know if he can be a head coach in Chicago? Do I know he can run the Bears and do great? I don't. I've told you about the history there. Everything they do turns to crap. But and I haven't seen the numbers yet on money. You know the McCaskies are actually forking over some big dollars because Ben Johnson's not going there. Ben Johnson's going to, in my opinion, likely will make more than Dan Campbell. Ben Johnson's going to be one of the highest paid coaches in the league. He's not going there for nothing. He didn't turn down other jobs for nothing. So this is a big, big move for him. And he's ready. And I'm excited to see how this is all going to go down. Twice a year, Dan Campbell versus Ben Johnson. Now, here are a couple of other questions. Reports are circulating that Dennis Allen, the former head coach of the Saints, very good defensive coordinator when he's been in New Orleans under Sean Payton and others, is going to be the defensive coordinator in Chicago. You know Ben Johnson's going to run his own show and call his own plays with the Bears. But who's he going to take with him to be his offensive coordinator? There are many options. Could Ben Johnson take somebody from Detroit, whether it's Mark Brunell, whether it's Scotty Montgomery, whether it's Hank Fraley? I have a name that not many people mention. Some people do, but you've got to watch out for Tanner Engstrand. Tanner Engstrand is beloved by the skill position players and Jared Goff. And Dan Campbell said today that that Goff is going to have a major voice in who is the next offensive coordinator with Detroit. Now, again, Hank Fraley, the Lions O-line coach, who's a magician, right? He's awesome. He is the best, if not he's the best offensive line coach in football. He is. He's amazing. Hank Fraley is great. And he's a great person too. But Hank Fraley just interviewed for the Seahawks OC job. What if Hank Fraley gets passed over and the Lions hand the OC reins over to Tanner Engstrand? Is then Fraley going to bolt to Chicago? All of these things are going on behind the scenes right now. Right now. You don't think Ben Johnson doesn't know he's taking with him or wants to take with him? Is Brunell going from QB's coach to OC? But you're not going to call the plays. Ben Johnson is. Does Engstrand go, who is the Lions passing game coordinator? Does Fraley go? This is going to be very interesting. All of this we shall see, but Engstrand is a name to watch because the Lion, I know this, the skill position guys love him. And he has a big hand in game planning alongside Ben Johnson and has the last few years. All right. Oh, I didn't even tell you this today because I'm off my game. But LockOn Lions brought to you by PrizePicks. Go to PrizePicks.com/LockedOnNFL. Use code all lowercase LockedOnNFL to win $50 instantly when you play $5. More after this on LockOn Lions. We'll talk more about the game from the other night. Some things I saw on the tape. PFF grades, and one player graded out so poorly, I think his starting spot for next year is in trouble. We'll get into that coming up next as well, right here on a Monday LockOn Lions. And our friends at LinkedIn bring you today's LockOn Lions Monday edition. Growing your small business in 2025 comes down to how well you can hire. Let's face it, better hires start with smarter insights. That's where LinkedIn comes in. The strongest hiring data available, LinkedIn helps you identify the right candidates, giving you the confidence to make the best decisions for your business. Hey, I've used LinkedIn Jobs many, many times myself. I can tell you it's a game changer when it comes to hiring the right fit. Small businesses are wearing a ton of hats right now, so every hire is crucial. LinkedIn gets that. That's why you connect with the best candidates using data you won't find anywhere else. From unique skills and interests to the connections you share, LinkedIn helps you find the right person for the job. In fact, 72% of small businesses say LinkedIn has helped them find high quality candidates. Hire smarter this year and find your next great hire on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. On a Monday edition of a LockOn Lions right here on the LockOn Podcast Network, an MLK Day edition. Man, what an unbelievable man Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was. We honor him every year at this time on MLK Day, the third last Monday in January. A real leader, an unbelievable visionary, and, you know, my African-American men and women friends on the just all the things that African Americans can do now, thanks to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the equality that we have now, are all due to this man. He was just that powerful and that amazing as a leader. So I took some time today in the car as I was driving home to really, really think about Dr. King today because he was awesome. All right. Man, this sucks. Like Monday, like we have no game to talk about this week. We have no game to talk about this week. Eagles, Commanders in the NFC. Ugh. You know what I'll say about Washington? We talk all the time about the Lions and just how great the ownership is and what Sheila Ford Hamp has done. And maybe Ben Johnson didn't want to go work for Mark Davis and Botox boy Tom Brady. Maybe he looked up and said, yeah, the McCaskies are a little bit shaky with the Bears, but like he can be the savior there. But it's interesting that Ben Johnson didn't go to Washington. And I know the people in Washington, when they talk about Ben Johnson, always say that there were reports that Ben Johnson didn't like the Commanders ownership group because it was basketball guys. That was what reportedly Johnson was thinking. The Lions aren't going anywhere. The Lions are going to be good for a long time. Great young talent, a coaching staff that while they will get poached and have been poached already, will continue to grow, will continue to be great. Front office that knows what the hell they're doing. But I'm looking at these teams remaining, all right? The Eagles and Jeffrey Lurie, he's a damn good owner. And he's had a really good GM and Howie Roseman. And they spend, and they're smart, and they draft really well. Look at what the Commanders did. They went from Daniel Snyder, all right, one of the worst owners in sports history, who was just terrible, forced out of there. And within 1 year with Josh Harris and that ownership group and Irvin Johnson. You know, Irvin loves the cameras. They went from 4 wins to what they won 13 now? 14 with 2 playoff wins? Like, ownership is everything. It's everything. Kansas City, so stable. Buffalo, stable. Good organization still left. And the Lions will be right back. That 3rd and 1 call, I hated it. The JMO reverse, I hated it. I couldn't stand how poorly the Lions played. And I'm not going to blame it on Ben Johnson and Hank Fraley and Deshae Townsend and Aaron Glenn interviewing. I think that's an excuse. I'm not going to blame it on, Dan Skipper and some others went to the beach. They were soft. I just think the Commanders came in and knocked the teeth out of the Lions. And for one day, right, the better team was the Lions coming into the game, but the Commanders for one day just got an unbelievable performance from their quarterback. And the Lions made way too many mistakes. You can't turn the ball over 5 times. Jared Goff was terrible. It was terrible. Now, does that mean, terrible contract, Goff sucks, gotta play Hendon Hooker next year? And I know we're gonna be doing shows like that all 2025 until we get to the season. Some of you will check in on SpeakPipe or on YouTube or wherever, and you'll chime in. You'll say Goff's no good. You'll say can't win a Super Bowl with him, can't do it. The man won 15 football games this year. He's a Pro Bowler. He set a record for most passer rating games over 130. Like, stop. Did he play poorly in that game? Yes, he did. Does that mean he sucks and they got to replace him? No. He had a bad game. Ben Johnson's going to maybe get $10 million a year from the Bears. Who knows? He didn't have a great game either. Just frustrating. It's just frustrating. All right, PFF grades. Top 5 and bottom 5 Lions from this past Saturday night and the Lions' performance against the Washington Commanders. I need to double check something here before I do this because this is very poor preparation on my part, but I was having computer issues and everything else. All right, let's do this. Highest graded Lion on offense or defense was Brian Branch. Brian Branch had a 92.9 grade. Top 5 on defense, Branch, Jack Campbell, 72.6, Levi Onwuzurike, 68.5, DJ Reader, 68.2, and he had to play at least 10 snaps. Al-Qadim Muhammad, 63.7. Those are your top 5 Lions on defense Saturday night. I cannot believe that Stanley Thomas Oliver III played a snap at cornerback for the Lions. Many of you don't even know who that is. Number 38. That's how banged up this defense was. Bottom 5 Lions on defense. Ife Melifanu, 34.5. Did he play his last game as a Lion? He's a free agent, and I can tell you right now, the Colts will be one of the teams after him. Maurice Norris, 21 snaps, 38.3. He was re-signed today to a futures contract. Zadarius Smith, who I thought was a disappointment this year, coming over from the Browns, 39.8. Trevor Nowaski, 46.5. Kirby Joseph, bottom 5, 48.1. Those are your top 5 and bottom 5 Lions on defense. On offense, highest graded offensive player for the Lions was starting right guard, Christian Mahogany, 92.2 grade. Panay Sewell was second at 90.1. Batting third, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 80.3. Jahmyr Gibbs, 78.9. Frank Ragnow, 74.4. Those are your top 5 Lions on offense from Saturday night. Bottom 5, and bear with me here. Jared Goff, 45.5. I cannot recall a game where Jared Goff was the lowest rated offensive player, but there you go. Graham Glasgow, 53.0. We're going to get back to him in a second. Jamison Williams, 57.7. Tim Patrick, 62.1. The Brock Party, Brock Wright, 64.5. Those are your bottom 5 Lions from Saturday night. Now, I mentioned Graham Glasgow because Graham Glasgow, the Lions starting left guard, is in decline. And I looked up the numbers, and I also read Jeff Risdon's piece in the Lions Wire. Go to lionswire.com and read Jeff's article. It's excellent. And he had the thoughts that I was going to have today, but he beat me to it, and Jeff deserves all the credit. Graham Glasgow had a really bad second half of the season. You want to be 60 or above for a grade at Pro Football Focus. If you're at 60, you're right at below average and below. Okay. Graham Glasgow against Indy, 51.1. Bears, 50.7. Packers, 69.2. That's good. Bills, 34.3. Awful. Niner game, 78.8. Excellent. Minnesota game, 55.1. Yikes. Washington game, 53.0, as we told you. His season grade is 57.2. Graham Glasgow's lowest career season for Pro Football Focus was his rookie season when he graded at a 53. Last year, his grade was 74.9. One of the reasons why the Lions gave him a 3-year extension. He dropped 17 points from a 74.9 to a 57.2. Not good, Bob. And Christian Mahogany looks real good, doesn't he? Real good. Filled in for Glasgow at the Bears game in Chicago, kicked ass. Filled in for Kevin Zeitler this past Saturday night, kicked ass. You know the Lions want to bring Zeitler back. He was on a 1-year deal. I know he's 35. But keep an eye on Graham Glasgow losing that left guard spot to Christian Mahogany next year. Maybe Glasgow stays on as a backup, as a mentor. But he did not have a good second half of the year. And on that 3rd and 1 play, he got beaten bad. And Goff was stripped and fumbled. All right, coming up next, it is our call of the day. You can be our call of the day at speakpipe.com/dairy podcast page. All right, everybody. Locked On Lions, as always, brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. This weekend, you've got the NFC and AFC championship games. Tonight, you got Ohio State and Notre Dame in the college football playoffs national championship game. They're still playing college football on January 20th. Okay. Want to bet on the game tonight? You like Ohio State? You like Notre Dame? Check it all out at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That's $300 to keep the action going. The FanDuel app is easy to navigate, and a variety of bets keeps getting better every game. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around for your winnings. Whether you're betting on your favorite team or just looking to add some extra excitement to the playoffs, FanDuel has you covered. You're the Pistons plus the points today against the Rockettes. You did great. You won. Visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make the playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Matt Derry back with you on a Monday edition of Locked On Lions. Andrew Siciliano, formerly of the NFL Network's got zillions of different podcasts he does, also voice of the Browns, but Andrew's going to join us likely tomorrow, maybe Wednesday. Got another special guest, hopefully Thursday. Work on some big stuff for this week right here on Locked On Lions. Appreciate all of you for listening, making us your first listen every single day right here on Locked On Lions. Shout out to G Money, my man Gannon Druin, who I know is devastated by this Lions loss. Henry Steed, these kids that love the Lions. Oh my gosh, you just feel for them. But they love their Lions. All right. Let's do this. Call of the day. Go to speakpipe.com/dairy podcast page. That is speakpipe.com/dairy podcast page to be our call of the day. Today, once again, we leave the great state of Michigan and hear from Adam Swisher. No relation, I don't think, to Nick Swisher.
Hey, Matt. This is Adam Swisher, originally from Michigan, currently living in Archbold, Ohio. I've been listening since the Quintricia days, back when the Lions were absolutely awful, and they've constantly made these steps forward, and currently just bummed by the result. My question is, what do we do moving forward here, as this seemed to be our year? as we made this progress from being one of the worst franchises to probably the model franchise. What is the next steps going forward with the draft, with free agency, with getting new coaches, as Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn are likely gone? How do we take that step forward and make another run next year and hopefully to the Super Bowl? Thanks for all you do. I really appreciate the podcast. Go Lions.
Adam Swisher checking in from, I believe he said Napoleon, Ohio. Defiance, Napoleon. There you go. Famous exit there off of Route 24. If you're ever heading to Indianapolis. All right. Or Fort Wayne for that matter. Fort Wheezy. All right, Adam, very good question. What do the Lions do to keep this going? How do they get better? The draft is the start. Lions will be drafting a lot lower, not a lot lower, but a little bit lower or higher, however you want to put it, than they did last year. And free agency. I think the Lions have to keep Kevin Zeitler. I hope they can bring Zeitler back on another one-year deal like we talked about. You're going to lose guys like Ife Melifanu, who I think is going to get more money somewhere else. I think Levi Onwuzurike is going to leave. Too injury prone. But I think someone will look at his PFF grades and go, this is the guy we want. But when you have Aleem McNeil and DJ Reader both back next year, I think that makes Onwuzurike expendable. I would re-sign Carlton Davis. Veteran presence, turn into the Lions' top corner before he broke his jaw. I think that's a guy, again, that you picked up via trade that was on a one-year deal that you hopefully re-sign. But the biggest thing is just staying healthy. Think about it. The Lions won 15 games this year. And guys like Aiden Hutchinson, Derek Barnes, really big, Aleem McNeil missed a lot of this, a good portion of the season. Kaminsky, they had a lot of guys out. Anzalone missed 6 games. And yet they still won 15-17. 15 of 18 if you count the playoffs. I think getting healthy on defense, continuing to see the improvements of guys. I mean, Brian Branch gets better every game. Amik Robertson made huge strides this year. Jack Campbell had a heck of a season. Bring these guys back and get them healthy. I think health on the defensive side is the biggest thing. I think offensively, Jahmyr Gibbs being the showcase guy will make this team better next year. I believe that. But you're bringing everybody back, basically. Hopefully Zeitler's back because I really like him at right guard. All right, that'll do it for us. Like I mentioned before, Andrew Siciliano either tomorrow or Wednesday. A lot to cover this week on Locked On Lions. We'll get you the numbers on Ben Johnson and what the Bears paid tomorrow as well. And reaction to all of that as the Bears win the offseason again. Offseason champs, the Chicago Bears. No one wins the offseason like the Bears.